The Inksty's Bray Predator is now live. Streaming NBA 2K17, NBA 2K17043.
Two-door done called it a day. And Gilbert Daily. Damn, we still went 73-9. But I knew we weren't that good. Like, there was really no reason we were doing that well.
I was expecting a shit emoji, and if y'all tell me y'all wasn't, y'all be lying on. And y'all see what I did? Because I'm like, Lord, no, I'll stop.
No! It led to nothing! What is happening? Oh snap, y'all know I did you with that little memoji joint, you know, with that new, you know what I mean? Hey, check this out. Hey, that throwback that you, watch this. Who remember that? Y'all got them snacks? Who in the chat room? What's good? Let me see what y'all doing. Okay, I see y'all. What? Damn. Oh my God, no, I need to get that. No! Lord Lord. Yes? Lord, listen, I need your help. Don't leave. Hi. Okay. So,
Gotta go.
Wait. Okay, remember to use the third one too. Okay, there you go. Remember the third one's there too. Oh God! Oh God! I killed him! Oh! Oh my God! Help!
Yes?
God! Wait! Listen, I really need your help.
No problem.
All right. Thank you for sticking around. Listen, for real.
Gotta go.
Wait!
Hey.
Oh, you're back. Okay, listen.
Go again.
Now. Okay, jump while it's up. You know what the problem is that the button is already pressed. So when I pressed it, he doesn't. Huh?
Yo, man, you just need to next this level for real.
No, like I know I should next it, but
Look, man, do maybe like one more try or something, but that's it.
you got this. Oh my shit! Oh,
Hey, yo.
huh? What?
You heard about Bobby?
When?
Yeah, he got caught robbing a liquor store the other day.
Oh, for
But
real?
all he stole was candy.
All right.
Let Dashy know.
No, yeah, I'm gonna let him know.
For sure.
Okay. Oh! Bitch! Oh God. No. See, No. See, something ain't right. I don't know what's hitting the P switch, but something is hitting the P switch and it's fucking my shit up.
Charlie! Charlie!
¿Qué, Pablo? Pues yo estoy trabajando, pues,
Sí,
¿sabes?
papá, pero, coge tu tiempecito, mira lo que te hice, un mangucito de plátano con quesito frito, salamito frito, mijo, eso es lo que se llama alimento.
Ay, papi.
Esa porquería que tú comes, eso es lo que llama un alimento bueno.
Papi, pero,
No me ponga pero, cómete esa vaina ya. Cómete esa mierda, ¿ok?
What are you listening to?
What am I doing? Oh, that's fucked up. Oh, that is fucked up.
Does she?
You didn't want to hear my conversation?
finally
Is that
made
why
the
you shut the
shit.
door?
Yeah. Loud as fuck out there.
He puts me on lean,
Babe, you
and I
should be
couldn't see
proud
that there
of
was
me. I'm
spikes
such a good
right
director.
there in between that door. I just have
You
to
are.
jump in the middle
I
one
just didn't
straight.
want to hear it.
Oh,
Okay.
Lord, please give me the strength.
I'm done. I'll shut the door if another parent calls.
Listen, I know you
Yeah.
always gotta go, but please, hear me out for 2 seconds.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm ready for
And then
sandwiches.
you... Oh, I'm dead. Ah!
The inner machinations of my mind are an enigma.
Fuck this, yo, Bobby, you fired. Hold up, I'm fired? That's why I'm about to tweet out your secret formula. And you know your daughter Pearl? Yeah, I hit that. What? That's fucked up. Okay, chill. Oh, wait. Bruh, who the fuck ass like that? Hey, get it? Cause I'm an owl. Like who? No. Okay, listen, I'll stop. Hey, look at the last time. Hey, look, hey, where Drake at? I'll stop. Or does he want me to do a wall jump? Because I don't think that shit is gonna... Same amount of space is here, right? So if it's the same amount of space, that means that by theory... This bitch talking about some theory. This bitch don't know nothing about no theory. I'll bite your ass. The bullets. The shit is
Why,
leaving
hello there.
my Uber.
We're going to do a YouTube comment section puppet video, starting with this. I'll leave it in the corner for context. You may wonder why I haven't done any of these kinds of videos for like 5 years. Well, it's because around 5 years ago, YouTube started doing this thing, or at least doubled down on this thing, where it randomly deletes comments as soon as they're posted, for no disclosed or discernible reasons. Even if there are no rude words, even if there are no, hot words, or any links, or any copy pastes, or any walls of text, or any of that. You know how it is. You're in the middle of a conversation and you post a comment just like all the other comments. It looks like your comment has been posted, but then you refresh the page, or you open the page in a new tab, and the comment is just not there. YouTube doesn't tell you why it was deleted, or even that it was deleted, And no one in the thread gets notified about your reply. It just disappears into the ether like you never even posted it. And so you type it out again, changing the wording slightly, and you post it. Same thing, just gone. Instantaneously. You can try it again from a different device. Same thing, just gone. You can even try logging in with a different account, typing it out again with different wording, and it's gone. You can try another alt account, and then another alt account. Same thing every time. I'm able to do this because Honey Badger Radio has 3 accounts that I am able to access. But yeah, sometimes YouTube just randomly decides that your, presumably, IP address is not allowed to post anything resembling that comment, even if there's nothing conceivably wrong with that comment. This happens to me on my own channel as well as on other channels, and it also often happens to the people I'm arguing with on my own channel. And every time they, of course, go, "Oh my god, you deleted my comment, you coward." No, I have never deleted comments, and I never will, no matter how spicy they are. To me, this is content. It's not in my interests to blow bloody great holes in my own potential content. YouTube is doing this for reasons undefined. You can confirm this for yourselves if you refresh the page immediately after you post your comment and notice that it's already gone. I don't have the logistical wherewithal to delete a comment within seconds of it being posted. This will have happened to many of you, probably most of you, many times, but you probably didn't notice because you weren't looking for the discrepancy. Also, the number of comments your notification box counts in the thread is usually a few short of the number counted in the thread on the actual video page. Like, your notification box will tell you there are 26 comments, but the page will tell you there are 33. Again, I've no idea why. Welcome to YouTube. It is a hell site. It is a broken mass of capriciously censorious Swiss cheese, and you know it. Please, please join us on Rumble and BitChute and Odyssey, where, as far as we know, these things do not happen. So yeah, this is why it's practically impossible to relay a conversation in the YouTube comments now. The longer the exchange goes on, the more likely it is to get holes randomly blown in it. But by the miraculous mercy of the YouTube gods, I have been spared this fate for the full duration of a couple of conversations, and so have my antagonists, as far as I know. Alright, let's get started on this, and do listen to the video and pay attention to the lyrics if you want the context. Link in the low bar. I'm going to cover these comments as they appear on the page. That's not strictly chronological nor anti-chronological order, but it doesn't really matter as long as everything gets said. Let's go. Enter Jimmy Everyman 6418.
Mike, did you actually not know that Trump was super close to Epstein and the appointment of Alexander Acosta to Secretary of Labor? He was the federal judge who gave Epstein a non-prosecution deal that was so lenient that it should have been illegal. Then that guy stepped down and amid backlash after Epstein died, and Trump defends the man to this day. Or that Trump was president with his own FBI director in place when the tapes and notes disappeared from Epstein's safe. How about the cringe little photo op recently when Trump released a more redacted version of a bunch of shit we already had? Keep laughing though. I probably just have TDS. Lol.
The funny thing is, if the client list does get released, and it includes Clinton and Bush, we'll all go, yeah, we knew that already.
If I ever catch myself feeling the impulse to cheerlead for those people, I'll come back here and apologize.
I get it. You're mad at Trump for not yet managing to officially expose the nonce presidents. Personally, I'm mad about the nonce presidents. We can agree to disagree.
He is one. Stay in denial, though, bud. It's way more comfortable there. What's stopping him now, by the way? Oh, the deep state that he has a stranglehold over. Now, that's right.
If he was on the list, run with this for a second, okay? If he was on the list, right, it would be rather odd that he's even talking about the list. If he was on the list, he'd probably be radio silent about it. Like all the other presidents are. Like you are about them.
What's odd is inviting a bunch of TikTokers and Twitter celebrities to performatively pose with Epstein files binders, which turned out to only contain a more redacted version of what we already had. Maybe he's being played for a fool by someone else, and I'll tell you what, if he gets to the bottom of this shit and gives us something real, I'll come back here and apologize, and even throw $1,000 your way. I'm not a rich guy, little Mao. To reward your prescience. Shit, I even hope you are right. I'd rather look stupid and get something good out of it than be right and get fucked. I just see no reason to maintain the faith. For what it's worth, your hair is green is still a banger.
The debacle with the Twitter celebs and their redacted binders was indeed an embarrassment. It only made Pam Bondi look an incompetent flipper of nothing burgers. Which begs the question, why would they even do that? It only made them look bad, and made everyone exasperatedly talk about the Epstein files even more. It is absolutely not what they would do if they wanted it swept under the rug. No response as of yet on this thread, as far as I know, but to be continued. New thread. Enter. Ambrisabel, don't care.
I'm just out of the loop now, I guess. The lyrics simultaneously mock women, or these women, for being STD-riddled whores, but also for never getting laid. The lyrics ridicule women for swearing off men, then proudly proclaim being MGTOW. Is swearing off women not a central part of that? When I used to be a fan, I thought this channel stood for something, advocated and cared about those it was okay to discard. But this just seems to be mean for the pleasure of for being mean.
What the heck are you watching?
Is there still a will to see attitudes and mind shift to a society that we rather live in? Or are we content now, throwing shit anywhere and everywhere because we can care the least about shit being everywhere?
Thank you.
Feels bad, man.
Would it blow your mind if I told you there are different kinds of people? Some are whores, some are prudes, some, believe it or not, are not women. Gasp. What the people in this video have in common is their hysteria, their deliberate, publicized hysteria over a democratic result. In many cases, they're screaming, literally screaming, about not being allowed to kill babies. It's 4 months later and they're still allowed to kill babies. But you think I'm overreacting and being too mean because I checked notes, sang a funny song in response. You know exactly what I do on this channel, friend. It's why you came here. You just don't like the democratic result either. Am I warm?
First of all, to be candid, I'm anti-democracy. I don't hold it scared. I don't buy the Churchillian idea that is the worst form of governance, except for all the others. Not that I'd ever see this change happen, but I would prefer governance that is neither democratic nor dictatorial. And why should supporters of democracy be compelled to support whichever candidate is elected anyway? Democracy doesn't purport to yield only good candidates and good futures. The whole point of democracy is that a good number of people, just not enough people, oppose the person who wins. Why after should they be compelled to concede to this winner's goodness they never
The Doritos?
And can you really like the winner? Would you not be embarrassed if he was our prime minister? Like, ours are no
And
one's
on the
fault.
side.
But even on the unpartisan level, he signs documents in the place of other world leaders, asking which part is important. He has a perception of MIT that sounds like was given to him by Marvel, which is hilarious given his disdain for Columbia for their protests, which MIT does in equal measure. He talks like an imbecile, asking people if they've heard of condoms, or Boeing, or Canada, and if he's asked daily if he's heard of things. Like, I try to pick non-partisan examples of not things he's done, because if anything, could you have confidence in Trump to seriously improve your life if he was our prime minister? I know you can trust him to dominate your political opponents, but come on, man. They're just powerless citizens, too. And I didn't say you overreacting. I said you were mean and slinging shit. Nothing really to be disproportionate against. It's not that I think you went too far, just that no one likes seeing people they care about be so destructive and dispassionate. Like I said, it feels bad, man. On the topic of abortion, so you don't feel like I feel sophisticated, I do think it is, in only the action itself, immoral, an evil thing. But I would not forbid anyone to do it. In fact, I wish all access to it. I do believe that if humans laid eggs that were visible and had to be visibly destroyed to kill it and prevent its growth, we would be way more cautious and discriminatory about abortion. I do not like the casualness we allow in ourselves. We evidently do because of out of sight, out of mind. So why do I advocate for it nonetheless? One, I do not seek to forbid all that is evil. There is some level of evil whose forbiddance is a greater evil in itself. Nevertheless, this is not one of those cases. Two, I am in large part an antinatalist. As much as I love my life, I have won the lottery, so to speak, in nearly every domain. Even then, I still submit nature's largest blunder was creating a capacity for suffering. But the central reason I am pro-permitting and facilitating abortion is that the complete trajectory that having and then having to raise a new life in this world changes the life of the parent and life of the child in a way when unwanted is simply an extreme level of suffering. I would have to disempathetically go out of my way to demand someone take okay when it could be avoided. I do believe that if man could generate life and be strapped into its care, none would be against abortion. To be clear, if someone who was living became a statue of stone, and while they were inanimate, someone set out to destroy the statue when it was known it would gain humanity later, that would be evil. If there was a stack of stone, a statue, that had never lived, but it was known it would later gain humanity, I still think it would be evil to destroy it, but far, far less so. Because that human form would have no dreams or ambition or love yet. And that level of evil, especially in a process that happens absolutely everywhere repeatedly, I cannot compare to the evil it would take for me to force women to carry children to term and raise them. I wish humans were better. That they could take responsibility when their actions predictably lead them to create life. Or that systems existed to simply take the life away and raise it happily once born. But these do not exist.
Oh, thank you, man.
And even pregnancy in itself, unwanted, is very traumatic. Even on this topic, all avenues feel bad, man.
Okay, now. Yes, I want a ballbuster for a leader. He doesn't have to be an intellectual, but he does have to be someone that gives no quarter to the soulless machine that would sell us off to the highest bidder. I don't want Spock to be my captain, I want Kirk. But I want him to take sage advice from Spock and McCoy. It is infinitely preferable to the band of treacherous Romulans who have dressed us all in ominous red uniforms as they beam countless murderous aliens onto our ship. Sorry if those references didn't land. To repeat, Trump is not taking away women's right to abortion. He doesn't even get to decide that. The Supreme Court does. His position, as he's made quite clear, is that it should be at the discretion of each state. There is no shortage of states in which such procedures are available, and most likely always will be. But the people I'm mocking in this video were, within days of the election results, reactively threatening to swear off any contact with men until their demands are met. Clearly this was performative and laughably immature. They're not going to go through with it. It's just that the only bargaining chip they really have is holding hostage men's sexual needs, and they know it. That in itself warrants mockery in the medium of song, at the very least. But the tactics they were using were to try and appeal to, and this is your word, not mine, evil. Yes, I am being mean. I think mean is an appropriate reaction to evil. If anything, it is underkill. I would be perfectly justified in screaming angrily and amelodically into the camera just like them, but I chose to soften the message through a creative and light-hearted medium. And no, it's not like MGTOW. Such men are not making such demands. They don't want the right to kill children. They want the right to raise them. They are walking away from the system until it changes. And they are content in the assumption that it never will in their lifetime. If you're at all familiar with my channel, you know where I'm coming from. We, as a society, like to pretend that women are not in charge, but they very much are. Certainly no less than men are. They have been given license and incentive to emotionally and psychologically bully us into compliance with directionless caprice, and they use the state as a weapon to do so. This song, if anything, is a celebration of a small win against this phantom tyranny. Yes, I am being mean. I give no apologies, nor do I demand any. I would like my leaders to do the same. No response as of yet on this thread, as far as I know. But we do have an Act 3. Let us proceed.
Can't believe I used to watch this dumb shit. I know. Was it always this mean-spirited? I thought this channel stood for something, advocated for those it was okay to discuss. Was it always this gross? Did we relish being involved for the pleasure of it too? It actually struck me on a trip a long time ago, just how mean-spirited and counterproductive this kind of stuff is. I feel for Mike, Random McCam, but damn man, this is just sad now.
I'm laughing my ass off, bro. You feel sad because you don't like the guy who won. Simple as. Don't cry for me. Or Argentina.
Well, no response to any of that after the laughing bullshit about the Epstein file list. Take it easy, Sargon. By the way, I had that realization before Trump was even in politics. Not everyone is a partisan hack.
I've always been on this side, man. I don't take sides.
Extraordinary. This is incoherent as a response. It must have responded to the wrong comment.
You described your own partisanship and then claimed you're not partisan in the same sentence. What the? But that makes me sound like an idiot with no self-awareness. I don't understand. Yeah, I know you don't.
I didn't describe anything like partisanship. You, however, uploaded a cheerleading support video to a known close friend of Jeffrey Epstein, who is now intentionally obfuscating and delaying declassifying any of the Epstein documents. The cope is like nothing I've ever seen. Holy fuck, the Trump daddy syndrome has gone airborne.
Again, if he was a close friend of Epstein who could be incriminated by the documents, there wouldn't even be a delay. There would be no investigation whatsoever. Like there never was until now. Decades of cover-ups under every other administration. You sleep. Trump's administration looked into it in the first month, and now you're outraged that there's a delay. And you think you're non-partisan. You're a fascinating individual, my friend.
If you uploaded this same video gloating about a Bill Clinton win, I'd be here making fun of you just like I am now. Disagreeing with you doesn't make me partisan. You know, he was president when Epstein died in prison, right? That his FBI director was in place when the contents of Epstein's safe disappeared. Still no response about the Acosta point either. I'll assume you don't even know about that one. Bill Clinton almost certainly fucked teenagers, at best with Epstein, and plenty of the Democratic Party is implicated in the whole scandal. If acknowledging that makes you feel better. I've been watching my country descend into what it is now for my whole life. I'm just not going to cheer on a guy who is cynically weaponizing our distrust to give himself a ton of unconstitutional power. I'm just facing the reality that there is no one in the running worth cheering on. Also, it's hard to engage in politics with no partisan bent at all, if that's even possible. I said I wasn't a partisan hack. Subjective, I know, and if I ever make a cheerleading video on behalf of a known Epstein associate, I'll walk that back.
Trump made shitty picks in his first term. I don't think anyone's denying that. It's hard to drain the swamp when there's no one to pick except swamp creatures. Even Kash Patel might not be able to get to the bottom of the FBI's laundry list of corrupt atrocities, but at least they're trying this time. Or at the very least they're expressing an interest in trying. And Trump has shown that he's willing to keep at least some of his promises. That is leagues better than anyone who came before. What I'm cheerleading is any foot that gets booted up the ass of the openly censorious thugs and thieves of the Democrat Party, and indeed the Uniparty in general. Trump might not be your friend, but he's clearly the enemy of your enemy. Fuck's sake, man, they tried to bankrupt him. They tried to imprison him. They tried to kill him. You don't think they'd shred a few files to save their own asses? You think that's Trump's doing? For real, bro. Use your brain.
Even if I didn't think Trump was a would-be tyrant who is only using populist issues to justify consolidating power, my next concern would be a cartoonishly amateur effort, resulting in not only finding nothing of value, but creating the chaos to lose even more information. The photo op with the documents it feels to me like a desperate attempt to satiate people's desire for information, and hope that people just go with it and act like he actually did something. He said in that Fox interview, 911 files, yes. JFK files, yes. Epstein files, yeah, I guess so. That one maybe less so. A lot of phony stuff in there. That's a weird amount of hedging after the first few questions. As far as the they in all those cases, there was a New York State, I didn't follow much, but he was guilty of shit on the fraud case, and the documents case was completely justified. As far as they tried to kill him, he has all the means you could ever want to investigate whether the shooter was part of something bigger, but I haven't heard of any evidence for that so far. Yeah, I hope you're right, homie. Because if not, my country is going from simmering to deep fucking fried given the options on the table. Obligatory millennial lol.
Presidents are allowed to retain classified documents. Vice President, your totally non-partisan radio silence is once again noted. And Mar-a-Lago is clearly worth more than 18 million. If it's a crime to value something at what it's worth, then a hell of a load of people in New York are criminals too. Weirdly, everyone else is getting away with it. Ho-hum. And I envy the faith you have in your labyrinthine bureaucracy of clandestine federal agencies. Like, you can just politely ask them to tell you the truth, and they totally will, without burning or shredding or redacting anything. I hope you're right too, homie, but I strongly suspect you're not. Be grateful you don't live in Europe. Over here, populism is a figment of our imagination. The power has already long since been consolidated by demonic goblins who have nothing but naked contempt for the people they're supposed to be serving. I'm no stranger to the black pill outlook, so believe me, you could have it much, much worse. You almost did. State corruption would be very bad. Federal corruption would be much worse. And I don't see that with his cases. The obstruction element was more of an issue with the documents case than the retention, with the lying about having them, then trying to hide them from the National Archives, but we can leave that there. Yeah, I never defended Biden's part in that anyway. Yeah, I also don't know why Garland would wait long to start the fraud case. Seems like a really inefficient deep state op to me. I do at least share the hope that the chaos shakes things up enough that it forces us to reckon with the crazy shit that has been swept under the rug. If Trump announced an investigation into the finders and the connections with John Wayne Gacy, to Project Delta and MK Ultra's connections to Jack Ruby and Charles Manson, I'd lose my fucking mind. It'd go a long way for me. And I hope he does. If they're going to hack away at my federal system with an Elon Musk-shaped hatchet, it's the least they could do. Maybe Garland waited so long because he wasn't interested in delivering justice in due course. He was only interested in arresting he who threatened his party's corruption when it was most expedient to do so. The MK Ultra case has already been blown wide open ages ago. It's not even up for debate. It happened. Everyone knows. Praise Bounteous that they, Doge and friends, might finally be doing the least they could do. Reducing federal corruption. Ask yourself whom you have to thank for it. Hint, it's not the chaos. It's a man with a name. Say it. When Musk stops lying about shit to cover his ass and actually comes with receipts, I'll have a bit more faith. He seems pretty sloppy and unstable so far. If Garland wanted to be most expedient, then it was an odd decision to wait till there would be enough time for Trump to win the election, making the whole case moot. And of course, MK Ultra 100% happened. I'm talking about drawing out the connections between that, Jack Ruby going insane, the Manson murders, and whatever else they got up to that we never heard anything about. We are not going to agree here, and that's fine. But Trump strikes me very much as someone who would rather have a big corrupt system working loyally for him than expose and stomp it all out. We'll see, though. Nothing else to do but wait and hope. Garland waited until Trump ran for office. That typically happens a fixed amount of time before an election. Did you not notice that everyone left Trump alone until he ran for president again? You give no benefit of the doubt to the Trump administration, but you give all of it to the deep blue shysters trying to destroy him. You believe their every lie, you repeat their every smear. My guy, it is okay to be partisan, but to pretend you're not is laughable. And so I laugh. Lol. No response as of yet. as far as I know. Which is kind of disappointing. And so I laugh. Lol. Which is kind of disappointing. I had at least one more rant in me. Might as well go ahead and do it here. My brother in Christ! When Trump tries to expose the Epstein files, you think he's trying to hide them. When Merrick Garland tries to put Trump in prison, you think he's trying to keep him out of prison. As conspiracy theories go, yours is so far below the iceberg, even James Cameron won't look for it. I swear, you're one mental pretzel away from claiming Thomas Crooks was actually trying to help Trump live longer. Oh God, Mike, don't give him any ideas. I realize calling it TDS is a basic bitch cliche at this point, but this is why it's such a ubiquitous observation. You take reality and you flip it upside down so you can keep believing Trump is the devil no matter what happens. And you don't give two shits of a lamb's tail. His opponents have committed every offence of which they and you falsely accuse him. You wait until someone else points it out, and then you go, meh, I don't like them either. You don't like them? My dude, they belong in prison. They deserve to be hanging from a lamppost by their pussy flaps while they're pelted with mouldy avocados. But all you can do is bitch at me for singing a song having fun at their expense. You are not in the sensible centre, not even close. You're shouting the obligatory 2 minutes of hate with the rest of the captured midwits. You keep saying, we'll see, or whatever. No, you won't. You can already see, but you refuse to, even when it's pressed flush against your face, or getting shot through your ear. So I won't even tell you to get a grip. You can't. You're sunk 3 nautical miles under an iceberg and there's nothing left for you to grip. But I hope you survive. Somehow. I will give you that much. Alright, we're done with that video, but we do have an Act 4. And it's by far the longest act. And it's from a different video. Here it is. I'll put it in the corner again. I could have made this into 2 different videos, but unfortunately every time I publish a video on YouTube, I lose a sudden, solid chunk of subscribers, no matter how long the video is or what it's about. This has been happening consistently without exception since December 2017, right after I appeared at Sargon's live show. It never happened before then. Some YouTubers complain that they get punished for not uploading enough. Well, I get punished for uploading anything ever. The more I upload, the more I get punished. So I might as well post 1 long video and only lose half as many subs as I would if I posted 2 short ones. And this really needs to be said. You must have noticed how often a YouTuber will sign off, or even sign in, with words to the effect of, I only have 50,000 subscribers, and yet 2 million people watch my videos. This is some kind of an outrage. Why aren't you all subscribing? Bitch, this means YouTube is recommending your videos to people who aren't even subscribed to you, and may not have any interest at all in your hokey bullshit. They are self-evidently plastering your videos across the recommended feed and the homepage of people who they want to subscribe to you, because they are dotingly trying to help you and your channel. The horror! Imagine for a second if you had 50,000 subs, and yet YouTube is deleting your fucking subscribers! Every time you yeah, I need to shut the fuck up, because this is obviously a perfectly organic thing that just naturally happens. Again, please join us on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey, where these mysterious regulated purges do not happen. Alright, our next endeavour is from this video you're currently seeing. Remember this one? It's been 5 years. 5 years. My brain hurts a lot. I'm gonna have to do that album soon. But yeah, it's been 5 years since the powers that be went right over the edge in their complete and utter insanity. And no, I'm not gonna get over it. I'm not gonna forgive and forget, ever. Especially when there are still raging lunatics in the world who still won't admit how cosmically wrong they were, and they're still just as blindly indignant as they were 5 years ago. Indeed, the dumbest, most arrogant dickworm I've ever encountered on this site, and that is saying something, turned up right on time, as if to commemorate the 5-year anniversary of the dumbest, most arrogant series of scandals ever to descend on this world. Warning! The sheer level of pathetic knuckle-dragging you're about to encounter will hurt your brain a lot. Enter. Errors will multiply. 1697. Blimey! What happened to you, mate? I know I'm just a tiny bit late to this video, but I've been away from the topic of men's rights for a while, and I thought I'd check in to see what one of the most rigorous, logical, evidence-based commentators I remember could show of a MAGA conspiracy theorist talking about PSYOPs and Deep State 5D who reacts to criticism by doing an impression of Mel Gibson in Brave the Truth. Your freedom is more important than other people's lives, in the same way that feminism is more important than people's lives to feminists. It's Marquis de Sade stuff. Get a grip. You live in a society. And don't try the it's just a song stuff either. You have influence and are legitimizing anti-science. How can you do this, then complain about feminists ignoring data and keep a straight face? I just hope the thrill of throwing red meat to right-wing libertarians, Murk fan base, was worth sacrificing your credibility for. Textiles cannot stem the flow of aerosolized viral particles any more than jeans can stop a fart. It's so dangerously stupid that it warrants a funny song. It has exactly nothing to do with MAGA or right-wing libertarians or Americans. Your naked hatred of these political totems has clearly made you extremely easy to manipulate. Textiles cannot stem the flow of aerosolized viral particles any more than jeans can stop a fart. My God, parroting Piers Corbyn videos? Even after you've been completely comprehensively educated elsewhere in this comment section, you are gone, sad face. It has exactly nothing to do with MAGA or right-wing libertarians or Americans. Jeezy peeps, no, but a number of your other recent videos do. Come on, man, I responded to this one because it's the channel trailer. As I say, Mr. Logic. Textiles cannot stem the flow of aerosolized viral particles any more than jeans can stop a fart. You have been comprehensively educated on how utterly wrong this is elsewhere in this comment section. There is no other alternative other than that you are deliberately ignoring the available data in favor of propping up your preferred version of reality, or the version you know will get you more clicks. How on earth did you become this? I could genuinely cry. Also, I wonder how you'd have felt about free-thinking, freedom-fighting anti-maskers if COVID had only killed men rather than only killing immunocompromised people. Stop crying for a second. You done? There are no credible scientists in this comment section claiming that aerosolized viral particles can be prohibited by textiles. Not even close. You can test this yourself by seeing if you can breathe smoke through any textile. That's what science is. Testing by experimentation. You won't even try. You just repeat the lies you were told. Shake my head. P.S. The fact that I like men's rights is no more relevant than the fact that you hate the right wing or anything you associate with it. You have only reiterated my point that you somehow think on rigorous, logical, evidence-based reasoning. By your own standards, you have failed horribly. One day you will realize. I hope it's not when you too suffer a medical coincidence. There are no credible scientists in this comment section claiming that aerosolized viral particles can be prohibited by textiles, not even close. Pretty close, I'd say. There's a 96 post thread in which a user links to many studies by many credible scientists. And your straw manning of medical grade masks into textiles is just... See ya, mate. I just can't be arsed. I'll probably come back in another 5 years. People can change and change back. Stop crying for a second, are you done? Not even close. I hope it's not when you two suffer a medical coincidence. You've bought the deluxe package, haven't you? No, he died of kidney failure. He didn't die of cancer. He died with cancer. Think for yourself. Do your own research. And don't try the I thought you'd gone distraction. You can do PS posts and so can I. I'm done now. No, I'm not done. And don't try to distract me by asking me if I'm done. All part of the shock that you're not all over. And don't try to distract. You really are going to run out of straw if you're not careful. You know full well that I meant distract the focus of the thread. And you've done it, as I knew you would. All the actual points you know about that terribly inconvenient 96 post thread, chock full of links to studies and excellent explanations of those studies you wish didn't exist.
Completely and utterly dodged. If we're going to continue attacking the tactics of feminism, I suggest a channel reband to The Rage of Caliban. One guy tried to claim that hospitals were overcrowded because they were at 80% capacity. That's the normal, average capacity in hospitals before, during, and after 2020. He didn't know that. He didn't look into it. He was just using orphaned statistics to scaremonger. I'm curious as to how you were able to ascertain that the thread was chock full of links to studies and excellent explanations when the only 2 links he provided have been dead for some time. You didn't look into it either. You just believe the lies you're told. The other guy provided nothing. He just bitched and smeared and made absurd assertions, much like you're doing. Medical masks are literally made from textiles. I know it enrages you that I have the audacity to call things what they are, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. The only kind of mask that can filter out aerosols are gas masks. That's why soldiers in trenches don't wear wafer-thin diapers over their face, because they don't do anything other than make you feel important and superior. That's where you're coming from, and it's all you've got. That's why you announce your departure and then you don't even depart, because you think your presence is a blessing by itself. It is not. You're a liar and a smear merchant and a fear pornographer. That's why we're laughing our asses off and singing our hearts out. You have no power over us, and you can't stand it. Leave, or don't. It's not a free country, but this is a free space. I'm curious as to how you were able to ascertain that the thread was chock full of links to studies and explanations. My mistake. Apologies. It was the same poster, but the links and explanations are in the 13-post thread under an opening post by Liberty Forever. I think there's over 30 links and as many explanations. There's a few do-your-own-research types trying their usual tricks, and he utterly shuts them and the thread down. You don't appear in it, and so may not have read it. If that's the case, I retract that bit and apologize. Time out. Addendum. The links are not actually dead, by the way. It's just that if all you do is click on them, you're only taken to a blank blocked page. You need to copy the link and then paste it into a new tab. I eventually figured this out, but this douchebag still has not. So I took a gamble and I called his bluff, and it paid off with dividends, as you will see later in the thread. I mean, it's like playing chess against a 100 ELO. You might as well have fun with it. Alright, time in. I accept your apology. And no, he did not utterly shut anyone down. To repeat, you can do your own research. If smoke particles can penetrate or circumvent a mask, aerosolized viral particles most definitely can. If you don't smoke, just watch someone else do it. I'm sure you can make an educated prediction as to what happens. If smoke particles can penetrate or circumvent a mask, aerosolized viral particles most definitely can. Smoke doesn't behave like viruses. Not all viruses behave the same, and aerosol transmission is not the only way viruses are transmitted. And something does not have to be 100% effective to be effective enough to have a significant overall effect when applied in general. There aren't any freedom fighters saying there shouldn't be speed limits anywhere because it's perfectly possible to drive a car at 120 miles an hour through a village and not injure anyone. Well, I hope there aren't, but Poe's law and so on. I'm really interested in your answers to 2 questions. 1. What specific evidence and conditions would you personally require in order to be convinced that wearing a mask during the COVID pandemic was something that was worth doing? 2. What would you think of anti-maskers if COVID was only potentially lethal to men? And there's this from 2021. Link. Which I haven't read because I don't know enough about statistical analysis. But results. When the adherence to mask usage guidelines is taken into account, the empirical evidence indicates that masks prevent disease transmission. All studies we analysed that did not find surgical masks to be effective were underpowered to such an extent that even if masks were 100% effective, the studies in question would still have been unlikely to find a statistically significant effect. We also provide a framework for understanding the effects of masks on the probability of infection for single and repeated exposures. The framework demonstrates that masks can have a disproportionately large protective effect, and that more frequently wearing a mask provides superlinearly compounding protection. No, smoke doesn't behave exactly like viral aerosols. Smoke particles are much bigger and they disperse faster. Viral particles release every time you breathe out, so there's always a cloud of them in the vicinity of the face and body that follows you around like Pigpen from Peanuts. If a single one of those particles makes it into someone's lungs, they get infected. Textile masks are 0% effective against these particles. Wherever your breath goes, they go. 1. To assess this efficacy, all you need is a control group. We weren't allowed any control groups. That's how you do the science, apparently. 2. Anti-maskers is your identitarian slur for people who can see through these obvious unscientific lies. I would think exactly the same of them, even if the virus was just for me and my dog. It is not I who uses irrelevant political biases to try and bully people into compliance. It is you. Apparently it still hasn't occurred to you that this is moronic. Any thoughts on the paper I linked to? If a single one of those particles makes it into someone's lungs, they get infected. Where have you got that from? Viruses multiply asexually. Fairly common knowledge. Or would you like me to post a paper that I haven't read? No, I asked where you got that a single particle equals an infectious dose of COVID-19. Oh my God, YouTube is useless. It keeps removing the link to a much more layman-friendly article that draws the same conclusion to the first paper. I didn't read that one because I don't have the mathematical expertise to understand it. I don't know how much you know about statistical analysis, so I asked you whether you had any thoughts on it. We can both understand the conclusion I pasted, however. Let's see if nanny YouTube allows this. The layman-friendly article is called Unpacking Cochrane's Update on Masks and COVID-19 and concludes, if all types of studies are considered, it is clear that well-fitting, properly used masks do have a measurable and significant effect on reducing transmission when properly worn by the vast majority of the population during times of high community transmission. I don't need to defer to esoteric pre-conclusions that by my own admission I don't understand. This is stuff you're supposed to have learned in school. Viruses are very, very small. So small that a single unit cannot possibly be detected by the immune system. It penetrates the membrane of a target cell, sometimes in the sinuses, but in this case the lungs, wherein it begins reproducing exponentially until thousands of them erupt from the cytoplasm like a burst spider's nest, and they begin infecting large amounts of cells. By then, the immune system can identify the threat, and at that point war is declared and your system goes into the litany of defensive symptoms. It's by the by, really, since it's never just one virus that gets into you. It's generally a cloud of them. But they're still undetectable until they've long since infected your cells. As you may have been informed, the virus in question is exceptionally infectious in this way, being not just airborne, but novel. That much is not a lie. As it transpires, it may have been engineered precisely to gain that particular function. Maybe it was from a bat, but hey, we are at least allowed to argue about that now without getting banned from the conspiracy theory. Did you find this helpful? Did you find this helpful? In a way? What do we have here? At Dr. Randomcam, sorry, I'm sure we both hoped this was over, but I'd kick myself if I didn't address your army point. Why do surgeons wear textile surgical masks during open surgery if they don't do anything? Edit! Never mind! Bro asked me why surgeons wear masks. For anyone else who didn't know, it's so they don't spit in open wounds. AKA droplet transmission. So masks do something after all, but because they're not 100% effective against every transmission mechanism, that's the same as them being 0% effective against any transmission mechanism. How can you not see that this is precisely the same logic feminists use to dismiss pretty much every men's rights issue? The abyss has truly stared into you, my friend. It's so they don't spit in open wounds. Open wounds or the eyes, nose and mouth, and people can have open enough wounds even when not undergoing surgery. Therefore, two people wearing masks are significantly less likely to transmit any virus by this mechanism than if either or both are not wearing them. And the more people wearing masks, the slower the overall spread will be, because this mechanism has been slowed somewhat. Same for social distancing and lockdowns, allowing more time for a vaccine to be deployed. Although I absolutely dread to think what your position is on them. And minimize the risks to vulnerable people. But they probably would have died anyway if you want to go down the pub, so it's all a bit 50-50, innit? Genuine thanks for lacking the basic respect to ignore a post I deleted. You've inadvertently destroyed your own position in doing so. Fuck. And I can't believe I'm having to clarify this, but then this thread. But what you try to characterize as spitting in is droplets that are produced when talking, breathing, coughing, and so on. Up your straw game. Oh, really? Oh, man. I thought surgeons literally hocked up loogies right into people's guts just for a goof. Bitch, you didn't even know. You thought it was because masks stop aerosols. You knew it was a stupid question. That's why you deleted it. Now you're acting like you're the smartest person in the world by repeating the answer you had to look up on the internet a few hours ago. You absolute howling embarrassment. Go on, get the last word. It's all you ever cared about. Go ahead, get the last word. Judging from that post, I think we both know there's nothing more I need to say. I haven't destroyed your argument. You have. And you know it. I normally get some satisfaction when this happens, but because it's you and I used to respect you so very much, I feel nothing but a bleak, hopeless, horrible sadness. I can't even hope that your righteous Braveheart fury might dissipate enough to make you consider your position in the light of new information, because a number of people already argue my case far, far better than I have 4 years ago, and it clearly didn't make a dent. There's nothing you can say. You posted stuff that by your own admission you don't understand, and you pointed to other people's stuff that by your own admission you didn't even look at. You are not even remotely interested in information. All you have is all you feel. Bleak, hopeless, horrible sadness, again by your own admission. And it drives you stir crazy that there are joyful, creative, reasonable people in this world whom you can't infect with your brain disease. This is why you're so aggressively stupid, because you have no sense of humility whatsoever. Even when you're caught in 4K with your pants down, all you can say is, straw man, pants are noun.
BESTY words on streamview.com. Remove the space,
extending from the waist to the
SPGAG
ankle. And as you can see, I'm wearing no such item. Please do carry on saying the nothing you need to say. This makes me transcendently happy. It's why I do it for a living. There's nothing you can say. Indeed, there's nothing anyone can say, ever. And you glory in this. That's the point. There's nothing you can say, because you are infinitely abysmal at saying things, and for the life of you, you can't see it, so you keep talking anyway. Bro, I'm a moron, and I know it, and I've never denied it, but there are some things even a moron can understand, like how objects can go through holes that are bigger than them. The question is how the hell you don't understand this, yet you still act like an unassailable genius. And we already have our answer. You don't even think. All you do is feel bad, and try desperately to make everyone else feel bad too. Most babies by the age of 6 months can master the apprehension that small things fit through large things. Yet you are today years old, and you still haven't figured out how to do anything but cry. I don't know how this happened to you, and it's none of my business. My business is to study you and document you for the sake of other people's education and entertainment. It's nothing personal. No response as of yet from Errors Will Multiply, as far as I know. Look, I know it seems like I'm just picking on an unusual retard, or indeed a troll. This username does seem insurmountably ironic, but here's the thing. This kind of retard is not unusual at all. That's why this exchange is so instructive. The world is full of this
pond scum. This isn't abnormal. On the contrary, this is what we sometimes sarcastically refer to as a normie. It's normal for people to be this stupid, but it's not normal for such pan-dimensionally stupid people to be so pig-headedly, granite-skulledly convinced that they are intellectual titans. There's always been morons, but this gushing overflow of morons who think they're geniuses is actually quite a modern phenomenon. This is the result of a broken and corrupted mass media and a broken and corrupted ruling class that perpetuates this gaping volcanic downward spiral using the money and resources they steal from us. Even in the age of the internet, people are still glued to their television. These idiot boxes are not teaching people how to think. They're teaching people what to think. Well, not even that. They're just teaching people what to feel. They're teaching you to express nothing but emotion in the expectation that anyone should give a shit about your emotions, while simultaneously dismissing your opponents because of emotions you imagine them having. So you are told, with the straightest of faces, you are told, you cannot fit a Lego brick through the middle of the Arc de Triomphe. You cannot fit a grain of flour through the Gulf of America. It's not possible. And if you encounter anyone who thinks they can and can demonstrate that they can, you need to feel angry and sad and terrified of those people, and you need to stand there shouting them down and calling them all the political bugbears we told you to hate, and keep doing it until we arrive at the scene and we arrest them for the crime of saying all these things that we can't call lies because they're not lies, so we're just going to have to call it misinformation, because that means truths that we don't want people to know about. Don't think about it. Don't think about anything. Just point to our idiot boxes. You don't need to understand them. You don't even need to read them. You don't need to do your own research. Just demonize people who can do their own research. Don't think for yourself. Just smugly scoff at the existence of people who do think for themselves. It's as simple as that. That's how easy it is to turn humble fools into infinitely arrogant fools who will do your authoritarian grunt work for you. That's why this happened. That's why this was able to happen. It's why that series of globally scandalous events was put into motion 5 years ago. It's the inevitable result of the weaponization of human stupidity. You do not need to interact with people who hold these views. You probably shouldn't. Certainly not in real life. Unless they are your family. In which case, just don't talk about those views. Just say no comment whenever it comes up. It's not easy to bite your tongue quite as much as that, especially when it comes to people whose fate you care about. But it's a skill you need to muster, and indeed master. If it's your family, you already have things in common. Important things. Things far more important than this nonsense. So if this nonsense ever comes up, just repeat after me. No comment. We are family, and we love each other unconditionally. As long as we have each other, politics does not matter. Religion does not matter. Social contagions do not matter. Let's just get along. Let's look after the kids. Let's walk the dogs. Let's play a board game or something. But not Monopoly. For the same reasons. It is not worth falling out with your family over this cynical misanthropic shit from these cynical misanthropic fucks. That, after all, is what they want, these cynical misanthropic fucks. It is in their interests that you isolate yourself from your roots and become an atomized glut of wayward bug people, and it is not in your interests, so it's a no-brainer. You don't have to fight back against this contagion of weaponized imbeciles. I mean, you probably should. Well, ideally, you should be fighting against the handful of genocidal globalist tyrants who weaponized the imbeciles in the first place. But you don't even have to do that. Live your own life. But at the very least, don't fight on their side. If you're going to isolate yourself from the idiot boxes. You might not find enlightenment, but you will find peace. And you deserve peace. Everyone does. Yes, everyone. Even these assholes. Alright, don't hit like, don't hit subscribe, don't hit the notification bell, none of it does anything. Not on this channel. This channel is doomed by design, and its days are numbered, no matter what I do. So if you want to help out, if you want to help me keep the lights on, please do join my Subscribe Store or my Patreon, or donate to my PayPal. Links in the description as always. Especially do so if you would like therein to request that I respond to something other than total randomers. Randomer is my middle name, and that is very much the MO of this channel. Now we know. The point is, I really need the money at this point. Rent is going up, bills are going up, council tax is going up, and my income is still going down. And it is getting really quite worrying. But I get it, you guys have exactly the same set of problems for the most part, so it's fine. Carry on, as you were, if you will. I'm happy to be able to entertain you for free in this wasteland of expensive despair. But on the off chance that you're comfortable enough with any disposable income you might have, it does seem like it's part of my job to present myself as somewhere you can dispose of that disposable income, if you're feeling generous. Thank you in advance for everything you do, even if it's just watching, or indeed commenting, even if I can't see your comments, which in all likelihood I cannot. To repeat once again, please join us on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. 99% of you are still watching on the hell site that is YouTube, and I don't quite know why, but that's fine too. Whatever floats your boat. Live your own life at your own convenience. Maybe everything will be okay in the next life, but I, for one, am doing my best to appreciate this one. Love you all. Hugs and kisses. Be happy. Now, get on out of here.
Do you really think that, like, you should just not ever have any reason to leave? Or, like, is it do you actually believe in the fault divorces, or are you just saying that to be, like, annoying about it? Or do you believe that nobody should ever be divorced? I don't know what your position is on this.
Do you think Steven Crowder's wife should have been allowed to divorce him?
Great question.
If you have a show cause for abuse, actual physical abuse, or you have a show cause for infidelity, or abandonment,
not emotional abuse,
or abandonment, right? I think that those are all good causes. When you're talking about things like emotional abuse, try to remember what your vows are. Through better, through worse. Sometimes in marriage you're going to have years, not months, not weeks, but years that might be really rough. They might be hard. Marriage is really hard. People shouldn't enter into marriage. They shouldn't enter into marriage unless they're prepared for all those hard times.
I don't disagree that marriage is hard. It's scary. I understand, like, that aspect of it. But, like, if somebody is abusing you and you have kids, like, even if it's emotionally, why do you think that they wouldn't abuse your children? And on second question, I'll let you finish. I'll let you answer in a second, but let me just finish my question real quick. Would you think that it is okay to leave a marriage if your partner, whether it is, man, wife, whatever, is abusing your kids? Do you think that's fair to leave that marriage? Or more than anything, I would even think, like, maybe it's like your duty that you should, for the good of your children.
If your partner is abusing your children, should you be able to leave them? Is that what you're asking?
It was a two-parter, basically saying, like, if somebody is going to
just do one part at a time.
Okay, that's fair. We'll start with the first part. If somebody is going to abuse you, like, emotionally or physically, why
physically, yes.
Do you think that they wouldn't? I'm saying both.
Yeah, but I'm not saying both.
Do you think that they're not going? Well, I need to clarify.
Okay.
Would you not think that they would do that to your children?
If you have a spouse who's physically abusive, I think that they probably
physically
would.
Or emotionally.
Yeah. Well, the problem with emotional abuse is that it's highly subjective, and I don't know exactly what it means. So I know what physical abuse means, and I think that all of us would agree with what physical abuse is. I think all
Well,
of
you
us.
think like gaslighting would be like
Stop, Nina. Let me
Okay.
answer.
Go ahead.
Okay, I think all of us would
Go ahead.
agree what physical abuse is. I think all of us would agree what infidelity is. I think all of us would agree what abandonment is. Not sure all of us would agree on what emotional abuse is.
Okay, well, I guess I'll like try and clarify then. It's something like somebody who's gaslighting you constantly, or like, I mean, like you saw the Steven Crowder stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, do you think that what he was doing to her was not emotionally abusive?
Maybe. So what?
Well, I'm
So
saying,
wait, but how does that? What do you mean? So what? So what if the kids are witnessing that throughout like a 10-year marriage? And you think that will affect?
Well,
the way
that's
the kids
different.
bring up
So
the
now
life?
you're talking
Well, that's
about.
what we're asking.
So now you're asking about some elongated pattern of behavior that's like never ending or something like this, rather than an isolated incident. So here's what I'll say, right? As you guys kind of giggle and scoff, which I find amusing. All of you, every single one of you, have been
You seem
mean.
to love
Have been mean to a man, right? Or have had men be mean to you. Every single one of you have had engagements with men, especially whoever you're dating or something like this, where the
I'm sure we all have.
guy's been a shithead or you've been a shithead to the guy. But that didn't mean that you broke up the relationship over that. A marriage is something that's should be much more difficult to break up than just some relationship you have with a boyfriend. And the thing is that hang on, let me finish and I'll turn it over, I promise. But emotionally, if you're talking about emotional abuse, I think that that's really difficult for us to agree on what that's going to be, because I think a person could maybe even emotionally abuse you for 3 or 4 years and then stop doing it. Marriage is work, or whatever you consider to be emotional abuse, or you them. Marriage is work. Relationships are work. Relationship dynamics are work. Now, let me ask you this. Before you guys ask me another question, who here besides me is married? Raise your hand.
Oh wow, you researched us.
You're married, Angela?
Yeah.
Are you lying, Angela? Just curious.
No. Why would I lie? What do I gain from lying?
I don't know. I'm
Are
just
you
curious.
just accusing her of lying because she's a woman?
I like my green card, guys. I gotta look my green cards. Leave me alone. Yes, I am married.
And you're not going through a divorce?
No. Why would no?
Okay.
I'd like to stay in America, so no, I'm not going.
I don't know. You just raised your hand really slow. It was weird. Just saying.
Well, I didn't know there was like a follow-through question, and I was like, all right, what's going on?
Well, I'm just saying, like, before you guys are so quick to say anything about what's emotional abuse or what isn't, maybe you should have
you
a
have to
marriage.
be married to know which one is what.
Well, my problem with what we're talking about is like I understand what you're saying, but if you're married and then maybe you're comparing it to like a modern marriage, people get married within like the first 2 years of meeting. But like if you've been with someone long enough and you're saying that this behavior will slowly go away, if the behavior goes away, whether somebody's just ignoring the situation, it's only going to get worse. But I don't see how a guy can be emotionally abusive and then just slowly not be emotionally abusive anymore. I don't see like how like if you're in a relationship with someone.
What's emotional? So let's start with this then. If it's going to be pedantic, tell me what you think emotional abuse is.
She gave an example of gaslighting. I would say depriving of funds. I would say.
Why is depriving of funds emotional abuse?
So, for instance, I know somebody who her husband would go out on.
I don't care about an anecdote. I care about the argument. Why would depriving somebody? Anecdotes are not an argument. Give me an argument.
It's not an argument. It's an example. You asked for an
I
example.
didn't ask. I asked specifically for an argument. So what I want to know.
I'm going to answer the way that I was going
What
to answer.
I want to know specifically is an argument for why it is that deprivation of funds is emotional abuse.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example.
Of course. Okay.
Of how deprivation of funds is emotional abuse. I know someone whose husband would go on trips, and even though they had a newborn baby and she was in college, he would cut off their credit card when he would go on trips. And he wouldn't tell her how long, and sometimes it would be days, sometimes it would be months. She would not know. And so she would just have to survive on the food in her food that she had in her pantry. Eventually, she would have to go to her mom and ask for food. It was emotionally abusive.
Okay, well, I know a couple, and what they do is he deprives her of money because he thinks that she spends. Hang on, no, you hold on. I just went through your whole diagram.
Did that answer your question?
Just went through your entire diagram. No, it doesn't. I'm giving you a counter example of how it doesn't. So I know everybody in the exact same type of situation, the exact same type of way, just the opposite is true. Refute it. Give me a reputation.
Well, what you have...
So the deprivation of funds and whatever my anecdotal scenario is good. There we go. So now we're at a stalemate.
Give me, I don't understand.
I know you don't understand. So he's doing a deprivation of funds, and it's actually good because it works for their marriage instead of she doesn't like it, I guess. You know, whatever the anecdote
I'm
is.
curious. What is your anecdote? I'm actually...
So the anecdote would be that she spent too much. She spends too much money. Because she spends too much money, he cut off the credit card payment, so he deprives her of funds. That's good and healthy for the couple. I've known couples where this has happened to them. Here's an anecdote for you. There you go.
So
Refute it.
Okay, well then that's probably not. Yeah, well then that's probably not if it's something that like she has an issue.
Well, no,
and
it's
then,
actually
like,
emotional
agrees
abuse to
together.
him, huh? How dare she make it so that that poor guy has to freeze her credit cards? He'd love to share the money with her.
You might
He
not
would
be
love
right
to.
about it, that's fine, but that doesn't discount what her argument was.
What was her argument? Her argument was an anecdote, not an
Do
argument.
you remember, like,
Well, it's an example.
It's an
What year
anecdote.
did you take geometry, Andrew?
Those
Like,
things are
just
not mutually
geometry.
exclusive.
What?
I'm wondering what year you took.
What the
basic
fuck does that have to do with the price
If
of
you
tea
struggle
in the
with
Boston
logic-
Tea Party? Geometry is. Hang on.
Yeah.
I struggle with logic structures because of geometry.
Well, not because it's not geometry's fault.
Okay, Lauren, let me ask you a question. There's 3 laws of logic. Can you name them for me?
What do you mean 3 laws of logic? So are you saying, like, for instance, if A, then B?
Yeah, the 3 laws. 3 laws of logic. There's only 3. Can you name even one of them?
Yeah, it's like if A, then B, if...
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember. Like, you would have to know this.
Maybe you should have stayed in geometry, I guess.
Identity, non-contradiction, excluded middle.
You
Like,
should have stayed in geometry,
You're
Lauren.
just angry. You realize how dumb that you make yourself look, Andrew.
Yeah, oh yeah, I made myself look dumb, that's for sure.
I can just easily Google. Like, you're really gonna think like it makes her look stupid that you're just like, hey, name like you're basically doing the same logical argument of like
That she did. So I'm just doing the same thing back to her that she did to me. Got it.
Name 3 songs from the band. Like, it's like we can just look it up.
That's what. Hang on. She asked me.
Then if A, then C.
So she asked me when did you fail geometry for your logical argumentation structure?
Yeah, I got a perfect score in geometry. I went on to get a perfect score on
All right,
the
all
ACT
right, all right,
math.
all right,
I went on to get a perfect score
Let's
in
get
the
back on the rails
GRE in
here.
math, and then I went on to be a math major.
What does geometry have to do with the logical structure, Lauren?
There's
Of an
logical
argument.
structures that you seem to be failing. So, for instance, when I gave the anecdotal example of how deprivation of funds can be, and this is actually one of the logic structures you were just talking about, so maybe you know them off the top of your head, but you don't know how to apply them, which seems to be an issue for you.
Oh.
If I
I
give
need
an
geometry
example
for
of how
that.
deprivation of funds can be abuse,
Mhm.
you giving an example of how deprivation of funds could not be abuse is not discrediting the fact that my example
Right.
still
Both are non sequiturs, Lauren. That was
It
my
wasn't
point.
a non-sequitur.
Yeah,
Going
they're
back
both
to-
non sequiturs.
Going back to
They're
your
not
anecdote
arguments.
to how to cut off the funds, like off of your example for someone who's married, is that what you would do for your marriage if if your wife was spending too much money just to cut off the funds, just to like teach her a lesson? What would you do?
Well, it's not teaching a lesson, but I have children. She has children with me. I think that it's very important that if one of the partners is being irresponsible with money, that it's a duty to, in fact, to cut off funding so that they're no longer irresponsible with money. And I think that oftentimes, especially if you look at consumer spending, women are responsible for upwards of 70 to 80% of all consumer spending. They spend a lot of money. So the thing is that oftentimes,
It's a misleading stat because women spend money on a lot of things like household stuff. and
I
everything.
agree. Listen, I agree. What I'm saying to you, though, is that generally speaking, they spend a lot of money. So you're going to often find that when financial disputes come up inside of marriages, it's not usually the man who's overspending. They do, don't get me wrong, it happens, but oftentimes it's a woman who's overspending. And so it falls under the duty and purview of the man to say, no, you can't overspend. And if he's the breadwinner and he's the provider for the family, why would it be problematic for him to say that this money needs to be used in a way I deem responsible for the family?
So then you
Then why don't
encourage
they
him
do
to
the
do a
shopping?
job?
Right, but I wanted to. So you're saying basically to cut it off, but wouldn't that be a red flag as to why she randomly started to aggressively spend on this money? Because if someone who's married and their personality drastically changes, wouldn't that be a reason to find the root of why instead of just saying I'm going to cut this off and starting the beginning of why a relationship fails because of the lack of communication?
Yeah, so I think you're conflating two different things. So if you're asking me, do you think that we should get to the root of the problem of why the woman is spending so much money? I would say sure. But that really doesn't negate the point that if she is spending too much money and the dude puts a freeze on the money, that he seems to be justified in doing so.
I don't think it's justified because you're not necessarily stopping the situation, you're just putting it on pause, and it's only going to find other ways in the relationship.
Well, it's both
to get
and,
hurt.
is what I'm saying, Angela. It's both and. So you can put a stop on it while you get to the root of the problem.
Peacock is the streaming home of Wicked. Wicked, rated PG, streaming only on Peacock, March 21st.
Brand new polling from NBC News. More registered voters say the United States is heading in the right direction than at any point since early 2004. Americans support President Trump's common sense approach that's getting our country back on track in record time. Meanwhile, the president's critics can't say the same. That same new NBC poll also found that the Democrat Party has reached an all-time low in popularity. It turns out when you let your hatred of President Trump get in the way of doing what is best for America, the people reject you. Who would have thought? Larger ecosystem, Nexstar, which is home to News Nation, the political website The Hill, the broadcast network The CW, and local Nexstar stations. With that, kick us off, please, Kelly.
Thank you, Caroline. What do you say to Americans who want safe streets but are concerned due process is being violated?
The president is using every lever of his executive authority and his constitutional authority within the bounds of the immigration laws of our country to ensure that our streets are safer for law-abiding American citizens. And this administration is focused on detaining, arresting, and deporting illegal criminal aliens. And as you saw this past weekend, the president used his authority under the Alien Enemies Act to deport foreign terrorists. Tren de Aragua is now a designated foreign terrorist organization. And as I said, there were nearly 200 Tren de Aragua members who were sent to El Salvador this weekend. Countless lives will be saved because of this action. And if you talk to the families, the Angel families, as I mentioned, Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungray, they understand the grave cost of life at the hands of these illegal terrorists. And the president is proud to deliver on that promise for them.
And just to follow up on that, this will be challenged later today in the courts. Does the president, does this allow him to defy the court order without having this the checks and balances and the separation of power?
No. In fact, this administration acted within the confines of the law, again, within the president's constitutional authority and under the authority granted to him under the Alien Enemies Act. We are quite confident in that, and we are wholly confident that we are going to win this case in court. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. If you guys can't send 200 Tren de Aragua terrorists at a time to El Salvador, where are you?
Mm.